People think I'm blind, but the truth is, I'm too scared to open my eyes. Now, my therapist is trying to help me face the trauma, but I'm terrified of what I'll see if I do. I have a feeling that today might be the day you finally open your eyes. It's been a decade since I last opened mine. My therapist refers to it as optophobia of DJ, a paralyzing fear of opening one's eyes. It all began in my teenage years, right after I witnessed the brutal murder of my parents. My life has been no different from someone who's blind, except that they had no choice in the matter. I, on the other hand, had to learn to live as if I were blind, even though my eyes worked just fine. I navigate with a cane, much like a blind person would. I can distinguish between different coins just by the sound they make. I've even taught myself to read Braille. But whenever people realize I'm not actually blind, they either think I'm completely out of my mind or that I'm just playing some kind of cruel joke. It's tough to describe the constant undercurrent of fear I live with. I exist in a state of perpetual dread, like someone who keeps their eyes shut during the scary parts of a horror film DJ, except for me. They've stayed shut for years. I've seen a lot of therapists over the years. A few have come close to helping me confront this fear, but there's always been one major hurdle. For the past 5 years, I've been going to a support group. Over that time, I've seen people come and go. The usual advice for conquering fear is to face it head on, and that method works for most people. But how am I supposed to confront my fear when I'm too terrified to open my eyes long enough to even look at it? I've always found my therapist's voice to be so calming. I often wondered if his face matched that soothing tone. I think it's time you tell me what really happened to your parents. As soon as he said that, I felt bile rising in my throat, and my hands started to sweat. I've never fully opened up about what went down all those years ago. It was my birthday. My mom had just finished cutting the cake. I'm still not sure how it got in the house, or where it came from. I just remember watching as it crept up behind my parents. It moved slowly, like a predator stalking its prey, filled with deadly intent. "What did this creature look like?" he asked gently. "It's like the image of this thing is burned into my brain. I can still see it, even with my eyes closed. It had bright red eyes, filled with a terrifying hunger," I explained. My hands were trembling and I could feel beads of sweat rolling down my back. "Take your time. I promise you're safe here," my therapist said in a soft, caring tone. It was foaming at the mouth, and its teeth and claws looked like they could tear a person apart. I noticed a change in his voice. "Jason," he sounded more concerned. "Are you sure it wasn't a man and not some kind of animal?" he asked. "It wasn't a man. It was a beast. No human moves the way that creature did. And when it was done with my parents, it started to move toward me. I was so paralyzed with fear that all I could do was close my eyes. I don't know how long I sat there, but eventually the police came, and I haven't opened my eyes since." I could hear the sound of my therapist's pen gliding across his notepad as he made some notes. "I believe your phobia is your brain's way of protecting you from reliving that trauma. Kids process memories differently from adults, and in your case, you saw the killer as some kind of monster." I felt a warm sense of calm starting to rise from my feet, flooding my mind with a strange sense of peace. "I assure you, you're in a safe space, and there's no killer or creature here," said my therapist, his voice full of reassurance. I could feel my heart pounding as I slowly began to open my eyes. My therapist had dimmed the lights in the room to make it easier on my eyes. It was probably similar to what a blind person might feel when seeing the world for the first time. My eyes stung as they adjusted to the light in the room. After a few moments, my vision cleared, and I could finally see my therapist's gentle, reassuring eyes. I always believed that the creature who killed my parents was lurking nearby, just waiting for me to open my eyes so it could tear me apart. The fear was still there, but the room was empty, except for me and the therapist. "See? There's nothing to be afraid of." I was about to celebrate my newfound sight when I was stopped dead in my tracks by a low growl coming from behind my therapist. It was a sound I'd only heard once before, the night my parents were killed. A wave of intense dread washed over me as I saw the same creature I'd encountered all those years ago creeping up behind my therapist. Its eyes were the same red, filled with hunger, and it pounced before I could even warn him. My therapist screamed in the same agonizing way my parents had as the beast tore him apart. When it was done, It turned its sights on me. Before it could get to me, I slammed my eyes shut once more. You see, it's not just a fear of opening my eyes. It's a fear of what I might see if I do.